So tip number 3 is about using multi-factor authentication. And I find, certainly in my life, lots of organisations are really keen to get me to use that. So, for example, my email provider and my bank really want me to add that in. Why are they so keen for me as a user to use that system?
So we referenced earlier in our earlier tips about the multi-layered controls. This is one of the stronger controls that we have in place to make things more challenging for actors when they're trying to get at the data. Right. Multi-factor authentication is much like passwords, one of those solutions that we have in play that is a bit clunky. It's not frictionless, so the end user experience can sometimes be quite irritating for many, but it is a great deterrent. So we absolutely encourage people to use multi-factor authentication on pretty much anything, really, I would, but strongly on your banking apps, on apps with payment details, your Venmo, your PayPal, anything that has sensitive data that you do not want somebody having access to. Apply multi-factor authentication. Social media platforms, absolutely. Make it difficult, make it a challenge for these individuals to get at what matters to you, and MFA is definitely one of those things.
I understand that there's some hacks that criminals will use or do in order to exploit MFA. Could you explain a little bit about what those hacks might be and any kind of tips for students to avoid getting caught out by those?
So there are a number of ways that attackers and threat actors use something called MFA fatigue. In other words, you may not be trying to get into your PayPal app, but you'll keep getting a ping, the one-time passcode, the OTP number that gets generated through MFA. If you have been compromised through social engineering or the like, and an attacker understands the platforms you use, they have your data, and you start to get these numbers generated, but you're actually not making any effort to get into your own account, that is a clear indicator that something is not right. The challenge is they rely on MFA fatigue. In other words, they'll keep sending you these OTPs and irritate you to the point we'll just go, oh, fine, I'll accept that. Don't do that. If you're
not expecting,
correct.
If I'm not on my bank app right now,
yep,
and it says to me, I'm about to send you a text message to your phone, that would be the only time I should ever click on one of those text messages.
If you are trying to get into your banking application or any application where you have multi-factor authentication enabled, and you are expecting to get the password generator, things like Shopify and what have you as well do this, then fine, that's your behavior pushing out a one-time passcode to you. If you're just randomly sitting there doing your work and you get a generated OTP from your banking application or any application that you have not tried to access, do not accept the code. It's
Brilliant.
Not you creating that.
Yeah,
it's somebody who's doing it, through your application. It means your apps have been compromised, and you need to get that seen.
I understand as well that if I'm ever physically phoned up by somebody or sent an email, very convincingly often saying that they're from the bank and they're going to send me a code now, but they're doing it on the phone, that could indicate that they've kind of hacked my account already and are waiting for the MFA code to be sent to the phone that's in my hand. And if I read it out to them, they can then type it in at their end, and they could be anywhere in the world and clear out my hard-earned
I can't
pennies.
say that they've attacked, that they've compromised your account yet. What I will say is they obviously have an avenue to do that. All banks operate differently, but there is one pretty strong, consistent rule. People will not ask you to narrate back, to read back an OTP over the phone or even on text.
So anyone who's a professional at those organisations will never ask you to do that?
Knows not to ask an end user. We will not do it. We do not share that kind of information. It's not done. It is normally a very clear red flag and a high level of indication that somebody is after your details, somebody, a threat actor is after your information. If you get those calls, these individuals are, believe it or not, sophisticated enough and trained enough in psychology to apply those pressure triggers to you. They use this because they rely on the fear, they rely on the uncertainty, they rely on the unknown to push you to share that information. If your bank, all right, is applying that kind of pressure to you, which is just an unknown, it's that they won't do it. That's unusual behavior. If you say, look, I'm getting off the phone, I'll call the bank directly, do that. Don't give in to them. Just say, I don't like where this is going. I will go. Even if they say to you, well, if you don't, this is going to happen. Again, that's another red flag. Your bank will not force you. No financial institution takes the time to threaten an individual over the phone.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is step back, drop the phone call. All right. Do not phone back that number. Even if they tell you, do not phone a number that they give you. Do not do that. Go online, look at your bank details, call their fraud line, and give them a call. They're very understanding. They would rather you took the time to do that analysis and that sort of level of where am I, what am I doing, than you actually losing your money that they will eventually have to either reimburse or you will lose. Your bank is on your side with this. Every financial institution is. So, top tip, do not ever share your one-time passcode.
Thank you.